It's August 24th, 79 Ed. You are walking down the street. You might be on your way to work or maybe running some errands or just out for a nice stroll. Whatever you're doing, you probably don't have any idea that right now, 18 miles away, Mount Vesuvius is preparing to blow its top and change your life forever. Maybe you do feel something in the air though, like there's an earthquake or maybe it's just a bit warmer than normal. Then you notice an ominous dark cloud rising in the distance, but it looks so far away and small, you probably assume it's nothing. If you could see what we're seeing, however, you would know that that little dot on the horizon is actually a giant plume of smoke rising over 20 miles into the sky. It contains pulverized rock, pumice, and ash falling over an area the size of Connecticut. That rain of fire is hot enough to burn people alive, and anything that does and get incinerated is buried under a thick layer of ash that will preserve it almost to the atom. Within hours, the entire landscape is changed forever and 2 cities are completely wiped off the face of the earth. 2 cities that just yesterday were bustling hubs of commerce, culture, and debauchery. Today they're nothing but piles of smoldering rubble, cities whose entire populations have been decimated by volcanic fury. They are Pompeii and Herculaneum, and their total destruction is one of the most important archaeological discoveries of all time. In this video, we'll learn about the deadliest eruption in recorded history, the destruction of Pompeii and Herculaneum. But first, if you're not already, consider subscribing for more fun history facts every day. Before we get into the eruption itself, let's talk about the cities that were hit. First, there was Pompeii, sitting at the base of Vesuvius with a population around 11,000. It was a typical Roman city. There were public buildings, temples, forums, aqueducts, theaters, shops, brothels, bars, restaurants, and homes, both modest and luxurious. But while it was a typical Roman city, it was also quite special. It was located in Roman Campania, the region where the soil was incredibly fertile and perfect for growing crops. Wine and oil production was booming, the value of property was increasing, and the city was experiencing an economic and cultural golden age. Then there was Herculaneum, a smaller city only a few thousand strong, but just as prosperous. Its population was wealthier than the average Italian, and many owned vacation homes there. The Romans considered it a playground for the rich. Then there was Vesuvius. For the people of Pompeii and Herculaneum, it was just a mountain. They didn't even think of it as a volcano. There had been no major eruptions during the lifetime of any living person, and it looked pretty inactive. In fact, people lived at its base and vineyards and farmlands covered its lower slopes. Even Pliny the Younger, who witnessed the eruption of Vesuvius, described it simply as a mountain. He didn't use the word volcano until years later, when he wrote a letter to his friend describing what he saw. Pliny was actually on the coast about 20 miles from the mountain when he saw the smoke rising into the sky. He assumed it was a normal, albeit particularly large eruption and nothing to worry about, so he set sail to get a closer look. As he approached, he noticed ships bobbing on the water, desperately trying to escape the floating pumice, and then he saw the towns below him engulfed in a cloud of ash. He turned around and sailed back to shore. But let's get back to you. You're going about your day in Pompeii. The ground trembles beneath your feet. Perhaps you feel a twinge of anxiety, but you can't help but remain curious about that dark cloud on the horizon. After all, it's such a clear and beautiful day otherwise. The sun is shining, the birds are singing. Could this dark spot really be a threat? A violent gust of wind suddenly sweeps through town, knocking objects off of tables and sending scraps of paper fluttering through the air. A fine ash begins to fall from the sky. People stop what they're doing and stare up in wonder. Some run for cover, but others remain transfixed by the spectacle. Maybe you join them. You've never seen anything like this before. More tremors shake the ground and the ash falls thicker and faster. Pandemonium erupts. People flee in terror, desperately seeking shelter, though there's nowhere to hide from what's coming. The ash reaches suffocating levels. Birds are dropping from the sky, crushed by the weight of the falling pumice. People choke and cough as they struggle to breathe. Those who make it to the rooftops are burned alive by the intense heat. Everything that isn't destroyed is covered in a layer of ash and buried forever. You're choking on ash and debris, desperately clawing at the suffocating air. You collapse onto the street without a sound. Within minutes, you're covered in ash and you're dead. In the end, every single person in Pompeii is dead. For more miles west, Herculaneum suffers the same fate. The towns are gone and all that is left behind is a wasteland of scorched earth and suffocating ash. But that's not the end of the story. You see, because these cities were buried so quickly after being destroyed, they were essentially flash frozen in time. Their streets, houses, and belongings were all preserved under layers of ash and pumice, so instead of being dispersed by looters, everything remained exactly where it was left. All those years ago, 4 feet of ash protected the walls and roofs of buildings, and even people mummified by the heat preserved with all their clothes and personal belongings intact. It would seem that these ancient cities had been granted a special kind of immortality, a unique opportunity for the modern world to catch a glimpse into the everyday lives of people in Roman times. Almost 1,000 years after the eruption, a medieval author described finding a bronze tablet with a list of names and their corresponding rooms in a building in Pompeii. Intrigued, he started digging and soon uncovered a whole street and more buildings. Over the next few centuries, more discoveries followed. Some people began to excavate sites for money, which led to much of the treasure being sold to private collectors. By the mid-18th century, excavations were halted. It wasn't until 1860, when the Kingdom of Italy was established and Pompeii came under state control, that excavations could begin again. But even still, the process was painfully slow and dangerous. Archaeologists worked in near total darkness with rudimentary tools. Not only were they uncovering precious artifacts, they were literally digging by hand in unstable tunnels. Today, 2,000 years after the eruption, we have uncovered 2/3 of Pompeii and 10% of Herculaneum. The rest remains buried under the earth. While the cities themselves are incredible finds, experts say the real treasures are the thousands of artifacts discovered within. They range from coins and jewelry to chariots and frescoes. One fresco in particular has captured people's imaginations. It is a mural in the ruins of a house in Pompeii depicting the moment the cities were struck, painted by an unknown artist. It's the only known piece of art showing what happened on that fateful day. It shows a peaceful countryside with a tranquil Mount Vesuvius in the background. On the left side of the painting, a small dark cloud rises from the mountain. On the right side, there's a much larger and ominous black cloud taking shape. Between the two, there's a wide swath of gray ash spreading across the land. The fact that the artist took the time to depict the mountain in such a peaceful light, only to show it violently erupting moments later, makes this piece all the more remarkable. The cities of Pompeii and Herculaneum were completely destroyed by the eruption of Mount Vesuvius in 79 AD. At least 11,000 people were killed. No one knows how many more died in surrounding areas. Entire cities were literally buried overnight. But because they were preserved in ash, we have an unprecedented view into the daily life of people in Roman times. We can see their homes, streets, and belongings exactly as they were. Left 2,000 years ago, what do you think? Would you want to visit Pompeii or Herculaneum? Let me know in the comments below, and for more fun facts about history, subscribe for more fun history facts every day. Thanks for watching.